let's get going. Help, Lord. All right, so my topic, as you see, lament and contemporary hip hop. Lament and contemporary hip hop. Next slide. I like what Job says in Job 14:1-3. Man who is born of a woman is few of days and full of trouble. He comes out like a flower and withers. He flees like a shadow and continues not. I think I cut some of that, so that might be just 1 and 2. Job articulates something that not only our subject matter focuses our attention on, and that is, it is a human reality to understand in a fallen world that tears and questions and concerns and confusions are all natural events. We're all on the same page. We're all familiar with these things. They are true to life, true to all of our experience. I think one of our presenters said, this unifies us. The brokenness of society unifies us. And my topic, hip hop, as depicted by the graphic, the graffiti artist that you see here. This is an iconic work, the hip hop visual. When most people think hip hop, they think vice rather than virtue. However, there are those who look beyond what hip hop has been commercially presented as understanding that it has also been likened unto the rose out of the concrete that was a response to conditions that were indeed lamentable. Hip hop is something, I'm not going to give you an extensive history, but a couple things to note about hip hop itself. It's an inner city born cultural movement that attained widespread popularity in the 1980s. Next slide. So in the 1970s, late 60s into the 70s, you can only imagine what inner cities were marked as, how they were perceived by broader society, and how they understood their own circumstance. This is coming after the civil rights era had gained certain advantages to people that had eluded, again, people of color in particular, and yet there was a lot of catching up to do. So hip hop is understood to have formed out of a lot of brokenness, poverty, and you'll see that reflected in a couple of key pieces that I'll refer to. But also, when you think hip hop, think an umbrella term for the whole culture, the whole connection, the whole community of people who shared both their art and their aspirations. One was rappers who used their voice to gain visibility for themselves. Perhaps when you hear hip hop, you think of that because it is the most known of all of the elements that fall under the hip hop umbrella. DJ, originally hip hop actually centered on the DJ who used turntables to conduct the kind of atmosphere that brought all of the elements together. The rapper actually played second fiddle to the DJ until the word event of, again, rap began to dominate. And that's why most of us know when they think hip hop, they think rap. There's also breakdancing, which was, of course, what you see when you see people with loose gear so that it wouldn't impede their movements, sort of take extended break beats on albums. So they would look for drum patterns and beats and rhythms that had no vocal to compete with the music, and that would be called the break. And then people would dance to them and express themselves. So that's called break dancing. And then there's the graffiti artists. And those are the people who use their artwork to create visibility for themselves by tagging, that's what you call it, putting it up for public display. Hip hop in the 70s that grew and emerged and became of prominence in the 80s and the 90s is something that is familiar with the idea of pain, the brokenness, what Job talked about, advance. In fact, one has said to cry is human. Yet today we've already heard, and I want to double down on, but to lament is Christian. Of course, there is a lament, generically speaking, but there is a biblical lament that seems to be distinctly something that people of God do, which is why our first presenter reminded us that it would be a functional atheism to not lament, because it's something that Christians particularly do well. They are able to not only take their sorrows to words, give words to their sorrow, but also to direct those words and those sorrows to one who can do something about it, And so what we want to do is we want to look at how hip hop provides, I believe, a backdrop for something that we're all saying is not only necessary, but beneficial. I like what Mark, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Some of you may, but I'm going to call him Mark. And so I just appreciated his work when it comes to this, a pop level, lay level. Go to the next slide. I like what he says about lament. Lament is a prayer loaded with theology. Christians affirm that the world is broken, God is powerful, and he will be faithful. Therefore, lament stands in the gap between pain and promise. Lament invites us to turn our gaze from the rubble of life to the Redeemer of every hurt. It calls us to turn toward promise while still in pain. Both our presenters let us know that we should lament, and that it is proper to lament. It is unchristian to lament. Sometimes it is unkind and ungracious to lament, such as our brother who just went and telling us how we just waltz past the pain. No, we ought to address the pain, and lament gives us that. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest, next slide, that hip hop knows pain, but hip hop needs lament. Of course, I mean lament in the Christian and the biblical sense. My thesis would be hip hop knows pain, hip hop needs lament. I'm going to give you some classic pieces from several eras, and I'm going to take you up to the present and show you something that is very paradigmatic about hip hop. It has always been a part of hip hop's reality. And then I'm going to show you one contrastive example at the end. So first, I want to take you back to 1982, one of the most high-profile songs in hip-hop history. It was Rolling Stones ranked this song, The Message. This is a group called, next slide, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. They're looked at as iconic in hip-hop history through their music. Their song, The Message, released in 1982, Rolling Stones ranked this number 51 in its 2004 list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, which was the highest position for any 1980s release. And it was the highest ranking song, again, this is in 2004, a hip hop song on the list. In 2012, the publication Rolling Stones also named it as the greatest hip hop song of all time. It was one of the 50 recordings chosen by the Library of Congress, and the first hip hop recording ever to be added to the National Recording Registry. All I'm saying is this was a significant and a signature contribution to the hip hop community. And it is known, next slide, for its hook, "Don't push me, 'cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head." Next slide. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. This captured this pain that we're talking about, this brokenness that was, again, all around, and the context out of which hip hop emerged. Just listen to this. You won't see anything, but listen to some of the lyrics. The artists, they lament broken glass everywhere, people urinating on the stairs. You know, they just don't care. I can't take the smell, can't take the noise. Got no money to move out. I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room, roaches in the back, junkies in the alley with a baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far because the man with the tow truck repossessed my car. And he'll say, "Don't push me. I'm close to the edge. My brother's doing bad, stole my mother's TV, says she watches too much. It's not healthy. All my children in the daytime, Dallas at night, can't see the game or the Sugar Ray fight. Bill collectors ring my phone to scare my wife when I'm not home." He goes all the way through a number of woes that were not just germane to him, but that were commonplace for his surroundings, and says, don't push me, I'm close to the edge, I'm trying not to lose my head. My thesis is that hip hop knows pain. There is no resolution, nor does this seem to be directed at anyone other than the person who can relate to how broken society is. Let me take you over 12 years later to the next slide. A guy by the name of Nas. Again, he would be, he's known as Nasir Jones. However, he goes by Nas. Nas has had 14 albums, 10 which are certified gold, platinum, or multi-platinum in the US. He has been recognized as one of the greatest representatives of the hip hop mindset of all time. He would go on to release a signature work deemed a classic called Illmatic. Billboard in 2015 said, attested to the fact that it's arguably one of the greatest albums of hip hop ever. Keep going. On that album, he teamed up with a friend of his and created a song called Life's a Bee. Of course, it wasn't muted. This is in '94. And the hook gives you a window into the mindset of the person who comes out of this community. Life's a bee and then you die. Next slide. That's why we get high, because you never know when you're going to go. Life's a bee and then you die. That's why we puff lie, because you never know when you're going to go. This was the reality. Here we are 10 years later. This is still a signature song and a signature sentiment, because hip hop knows pain and yet needs lament. He actually would go on to say, just listen, visualizing the realism of life and actuality, forget who's the baddest, because rappers used to boast, I'm bad, I'm the baddest. Now in this era, he says, forget who's the baddest. A person's status depends on salary. My mentality is money oriented. I'm destined to live the dreams for all my peeps who never made it. As you can see, he identifies in solidarity with his community and recognizes that so many of his people fall under the lamentable conditions because they have no hope. He even goes on to say, yes, we were beginners in the hood. We started as 5%ers, which is an offshoot of Islam. We started as 5%ers, but something must have got in us, because all of us turned sinners. Now resting in peace, meaning death. Some are sitting in San Quentin, meaning prison. Others, such as myself, are trying to carry on tradition. What he's saying is he's trying to press beyond the brokenness to something more promising. And again, he's a multimillionaire now, so he probably would think that he is a success story. However, he still knows pain, but hip hop needs lament. Next, perhaps many of you know this next guy, because again, we're talking about 10-year increments here, 10 to 12-year increments. What I'm showing you is through the decades, there's still a recurrent theme. Perhaps you know this one of the most recognizable figures, a guy by the name of Tupac Shakur. If you don't know him, there was a time when I remember a missions team stating that they went to a place that the only thing they knew about America was Coca-Cola and Tupac, McDonald's and Tupac. He was one of the most the most recognizable global hip hop icons of his day. This is one who, as you can see, was short-lived. He died at the age of 25. He was, again, a tragedy. Over 75 million albums sold. Even the Vatican featured one of his songs on its official playlist. Next slide. This song, Tupac Against the World, you could call all lament. I'm not bringing anything from there. You can know this is a man who was tormented by brokenness. You see it on another album, next slide, a song called Only Fear of Death. And this song which was recorded in 1992, was released after his death, and it showed you one who feared death. So it was interesting that one who feared death released a song talking about it after his death. And in it, you hear him. They want to bury me. I'm worried. I'm losing my mind. Look down the barrel of my 9. My vision is blurry. Falling to pieces. Am I guilty? I pray to the Lord, but he ignores me. Unfortunately, because I'm guilty. Again, this is someone who understood. His mom was a Black Panther. And so here he is, again, talking about and identifying with the personal brokenness, not only brokenness around him, brokenness within him. Listen how he keeps going. He says, show me a miracle. That what's on your screen, leave that. But listen, I'm going to read a few more before I get to that on the screen. He says, show me a miracle. I'm hopeless. I'm choking off marijuana smoke. With every toke, I'm losing focus, falling asleep while I'm at service. When will I die? Forever paranoid and nervous because I'm high. Don't mention funerals. I'm stressing. I'm going nutty and reminiscing about them guys that murdered my buddy. I wonder when will I be happy? Ain't nothing funny. Flashbacks of busting caps, which is shooting. Anything for money. Where I'm going, I discovered can't nothing save me. Then they wanna bury me. I'm worried. They want to bury me. I'm worried. I'm losing my mind. No, back. I'm sorry. That was me. They wonder if I'm hellbound. Well, hell can't be worse than this because I'm in hell now. He goes on to conclude, only fear of death is coming back reincarnated. The only fear of death would be coming back to a world where you know pain. But we would say you don't know lament. You don't know lament. Let's come up to the present. Perhaps you know this guy if you don't know the last one. A guy by the name of Kendrick Lamar, 34-year-old Compton native, hailed as one of the most influential rappers at the present and one of the greatest of all times. His accolades would include 14 Grammy Awards, 2 American Music Awards, 6 Billboard Awards, 11 a Brit Award, 11 MTV Music Video Awards, a Pulitzer Prize, and an Academy Award nomination. Again, out of all the things that Kendrick, this is sidebar, but many Christians were lured to Kendrick because they sensed that maybe he knew Jesus. Alan Noble of Oklahoma Baptist University released an article in First Things touting that Kendrick Lamar was a Christian and his first album was a conversion narrative. He was emphatic. I'm not saying it alludes to redemptive themes. It is unapologetically a conversion narrative. He wants you to drink from the fountain of living water. I disagreed with him, knowing Kendrick a little more beyond his commercialism. And it became clear that a lot of Christians liked him because he had allusions to redemptive themes. However, that's because we all know brokenness, but we don't necessarily know lament. Well, there's a song he has on an album, Damn. Again, I've tried to mute everything that would be offensive language, but I figured since we're talking about lament and we're talking about pain and we're talking about anguish and we're assuming that you could see in this album, this is an expression. This album's cover, damn, and the look on his face is like one who's burdened and beat down by the world that he lives in. In a song called Fear off that album, multi-platinum album, next slide, he says, why God, do I gotta suffer? Pain in my heart, carry burdens full of struggle. Why God, do I gotta bleed? Every stone thrown at you, resting at my feet. Why God, do I gotta suffer? Earth is no more. Why don't you burn this mother? And then he says, I don't think I could find a way to make it on this earth. Once again, you hear with each generation, 10 years at a time, it's still true that some of the most influential artists are the ones that capture what's common, and that is pain. And at the same time, my thesis is if only they knew what we know, lament. Again, he would go on to talk about his life. Look at how he goes on to say, I'll probably die. I'll probably die anonymous. I'll probably die with promises. I'll probably die trying to buy weed at the apartments. I'll probably die trying to diffuse 2 homies arguing. I'll probably die because that's what you do when you're 17. All worries in a hurry. I wish I could control things. Talk about someone with a bleak outlook. He's going to go on and have a verse about when he's 27. For the sake of time, I won't allude to it. However, what we see here is that he concludes this with a phone call from a cousin commending what's called Hebrew Israelism, Black Hebrew Israelism, as a solution, a diagnosis and a solution. Just listen to it. On this song, his cousin comes in. Until we come back to these commandments, until you come back to these commandments, you're going to be in this place. We're going to be under this curse, because he said he's going to punish us. The so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the true children of Israel. We are the Israelites according to the Bible, the children of Israel. He's going to punish us for our iniquities, for our disobedience, because we chose to follow other gods that aren't his son. So the Lord thy God chasten you. He goes on to recommend that he goes back to the commandments. What we would say the commandments do are they only exacerbate the feeling of woe is me. They only show you that we're broken, but according to New Testament and Christian theology as a whole, shows you that the brokenness ought to lead you to one who can do something about it, because the law only furthers the feeling of guilt, shame, and oppression, because it reminds you you are guilty. The brokenness is around you and the brokenness is in you. If only they knew lament. Once again, let me refer to Mark, who rightly says, belief in God's mercy, redemption, and sovereignty create lament. Without hope in God's deliverance and the conviction that he is all powerful, there would be no reason to lament when pain invaded our lives. That's what we believe hip hop misses. There is something called Christian hip hop, very disputed. The label Christian is placed on it just to distinguish it from those who are just full stop in partnership with those who are marked more by vice than virtue, those who have pain but don't know promise, the promise of the gospel. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to conclude by having you listen to a song. It's actually a song that I did that articulates a lamentation of what's going on. I'm going to just give you one verse, but in this, you hear me do what lament actually does. And that is cast my hope as an example to hip hop, that if only hip hop would cast their hope on the one who has mercy, redemption, sovereignty, and who is so powerful that he would enter the pain, take our place, and then give us his life and refreshment forevermore. So if you will go to that last slide, you should be able to press play. Lord willing, it'll play.
The suffering is meant for glory. There is dancing for my morning. Oh, you told me you won't leave me behind. I fight from a place of victory. I thank you for your goodness to me. I know with you I'll see the other side. I know you are faithful.
Heaven's your addy, yeah. From the dirt you grab me. You're running your earth like track meets, yeah. I'm real thankful. I think of the days we had beef like a patty, but now I'm in your club. You carry your club like caddies, but I'm unhappy. I can't front like a backseat. The world I'm living is not benevolent. I didn't check the rap sheet. You're all seeing. You be in the DM of human beings. You see us taking the L. You need a W like BMs. I know there's pain, but I don't know why, and I just might cry. But I must rely on the fact you're wise and you just don't lie. I'll trust when I don't have eyes, cause your son did die, he died, but the son did rise, surprise, and now he's the one alive, not a one-trick pony disguise. He ascended, sat down like I'm finished. The master's not P, but but to his reigns no limit. I speak to you like an interview. Let the truth get into you. Troubles come and troubles go, but they're not the song, it's the interlude. You can cut it. I want to thank you all for giving me your time. I'm sorry about all that confusion, but I pray that when it's all said and done, we will deal with hip hop as that which can relate to us in many ways, and yet that which needs what we have desperately. And I pray that we will not be the functional atheists that our brothers talked about, or jump over pain, but we'll engage it and then point them to the one who's able to redeem them from every hurt. Thank you.